On today's episode of Max Magazine, we check out some really cool people having fun in their careers. First, we check out two moms who started a business touring people in canoes. Then we visit Saskatoon, where a local world-famous comic book artist has taken doodling to a whole new level. Professional bull riding and fighting has made heroes of one Prince Albert family, and creating chaos is the career of choice for a special effects artist in Regina. Hello and welcome to another edition of Max Magazine. I'm your host, Brad Grass, and today we're talking about really cool jobs. And as you can see, I do something else when I'm not hosting Max Magazine. I'm the host of a radio show in Regina, Big Dog 92.7. Really cool job, and I'm really popular. And I have a co-host, Heather Prozek, the lovely and talented Heather Prozek. Hi, Heather.
Did you say you were popular? Hi.
Yeah, I kind of slipped that in there.
That's huge. We like to make a big
Yeah.
No, you go ahead.
I said you were lovely.
No, yeah, and thank you.
And I said you were talented.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually,
that's true, right?
We are pretty lucky that we do have this job, because this job gives us a podium, a soapbox, right? And what we like to do, is we like to take the opportunity to take this job and help out in the community. There's a lot of charities out there that could use help, and
Absolutely.
We're happy to do it. And in fact, today we're launching the Big Dog 92.7 Kids Fund campaign, and it helps out the kids right here in Regina. It's our big launch. We're at the Cornwall Center in the food court, kind of kicking the whole thing off. Right? And well, really, it's just what you should do. It's certainly what adults should do for kids. You should help out the kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should support the kids. It should be a natural thing. Which brings us to our next story. It's about a couple of women who needed a job to support their kids, so they created one, and a good one too. This is a job that takes them into the great outdoors, and they get to spend quality time with them. Let's check it out.
The biggest reason why me and Stacy wanted to start this business is, number one, we love to paddle. I mean, you can't really go wrong with that. And we love outdoors, and we really love sharing with people their backyards and what's really out here. And yeah, so we started Clearwater Canoeing.
Well, I've known Vanessa for, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 years, I think. And I've been always sort of into the outdoors and kayaking and all that sort of stuff, and it's just been a great experience.
Typically what we do is overnight guided trips. So we spend our introduction into wilderness canoe camping package is 3 days and 2 nights on the North Saskatchewan. And we paddle downstream the whole time. And we camp out basically on sandbars and islands and along the shoreline. We try and camp as near to some, historical sites that we're aware of, like old turtle forts and places like that, and give people a brief introduction into what it is. But we really focus on the closeness and the specialness of being outside as well, because so often those opportunities are missed.
Like Vanessa, she's just a walking encyclopedia of the history of the area. I never learned this much in high school from what I've learned from Vanessa.
It was a fun day. It was a hard paddle upriver, but it was great on the way back, and definitely worth a paddle. We started our day at the lookout, where you can see Pine Island just down the river from where we are now. We went to the bottom of the hill to get into our canoes and paddled around just to get used to it again, because most of us haven't paddled for a long time. And got out on the water, and then it was just battling the wind and the current from there. I got a ton of great photos, which I'm always happy about. And my daughter, I think, had a really good time today, so it was a nice kind of family outing.
Then we kind of found this cool place in the forest, and we kind of just chilled out there and had some tea and banana muffins. Those were good. I had 2 of those. Then once we were done snacking and chilling, we went for a walk, and we saw a lot of cool trees. Kind of wanted to climb some of them. I don't know why. Anyways. Yeah, definitely something I would do again. Yeah, it was like fun.
Professional camper, that's sort of the fun part anyways. And they're like, oh, what do you do? I take people on guided canoe trips, and we tell them about all the food that we eat. I eat better on the trips than I do at home, I swear. We got homemade chili with big beans and all that sort of stuff, and we take care of everything for you, and just make sure you guys have a good time.
We just have fun, as much fun as we possibly can. But yeah, it does take a lot of work, and we run into so many people that are like, oh, I want to do what you guys do, and just camping all the time, and they have no idea. Like, you're basically, you're cooking for an entire group. You wake up at 6 o'clock, then you wake your guests up at 8, and their breakfast is ready with their coffee, And then your guests go to bed at 11 o'clock. You go to bed at 12 o'clock after you're done cleaning everything and your camp's cleaned up. So it is a lot of work, a lot of responsibility. So to us, this is our whole lives. Like this, it's no problem for us to do this forever.
I would definitely recommend a trip with Clearwater Canoeing to anybody who's watching, because they know what they're doing, they're all trained well, and they've got great food. So who can beat that?
So Heather, we're both in radio now. Can you think of anything you did as a kid that maybe got you on the path that led you to radio today?
Well, when I run into a lot of the people that I grew up with, when I tell them what I do now,
yeah,
they were expecting it. It went back to me getting kicked out of class.
What did you do?
Well, sometimes I talk too much, but I thought it was constructive. I'm talking with my classmates, I'm learning.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, you know what I did? I did a couple of things. Creative stories. I would write a lot of stories. I wrote a lot of stories. But I did more than that. I would doodle. I probably doodled more
like you
than I wrote.
still do that, actually.
I still doodle.
Yeah.
We're on the radio. But actually, there's this one fella who did the same thing when he was young in school. You'd think it was a bad habit in school, like drawing a lot, doodling in his math textbook and stuff. But actually, he grew up to be one of the most popular comic book artists in the world.
Really?
Yeah. It just goes to show you that these bad habits we have as kids can sometimes really pay off.
What I like to draw is the stuff I grew up loving, which was comic books. I've been drawing professionally now for about 20 years. I began working for DC, which was the result of running into a DC artist at a convention in Toronto. And he was kind enough to forward copies of my work to an editor who phoned me up practically immediately and offered me work. And for a year I did fill-ins on a lot of things like Animal Man and Wonder Woman and Secret Origins and things like that. And then I was offered a regular gig on the New Titans. Then I moved on to Superman, which I did for about 9 or 10 years. all the stuff that occurs in comic books is exaggerated much in the same way that an animated cartoon is exaggerated. Comic books don't have the benefit of sound or movement, so you have to find ways of getting that across visually without, you know, until they have a sound chip in these things, that's pretty much what we have. The process of doing a comic book begins with the writer, and who comes up with either a script or a plot, which he submits to an editor and they hash it out. Then once they've got that all taken care of, the plot or script comes to me and I begin drawing. And as I finish pages, I turn them into the editor, who checks them over, and he in turn sends the pages that I do to an inker and a letterer, and then it goes to the colorist, and then to production, and then to press, and then into the hands of all those rabid fans out there who can't wait for the next installment of their favorite character.
I am a big fan of reading, and I read a lot of novels. I read a fair amount of nonfiction. I read the newspaper every day it comes out, but I find that comic books fulfill something for me that reading just text cannot. The wedding of the pictures and the words together, I think, perhaps is one of the more interesting Western developments as far as writing goes. Talking to other people, and we're talking people in Alberta, people in Edmonton, people in Calgary, places like that, having access to Tom is phenomenal. And the fact that Tom is so accessible is also phenomenal. Tom, for my store, comes in when we have an event like Free Comic Book Day. This is the 8th time. Over the years, Tom has signed many, many comics on the day they came out. Wednesday morning when the comics come out, Tom's in here signing the comics that he has drawn.
I actually, at one point, had given up on ever having the chance to do this, and you know, fate intervened, and that opportunity did present itself. Seeing the final product coming out on the stands is sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's infuriating, sometimes it's just a dream. I never thought that I'd actually have a chance to do this, and it's still a source of amazement to me that I actually live this life and get to see, you know, my work come out on the stands periodically. So.
Joining me right now is Stacy with the YWCA here in Regina, and I think, Stacy, you'd agree with me if I said that it's really important for the community to have a strong support base for the kids that use the Y in the Wise Kids Room.
Absolutely. I volunteer there, and I think the volunteers and people that work there really make the program, and you know, you want the kids to come there and feel safe and trust that you have their best interest at heart, so that you know, they can be comfortable and be kids.
The Wise Kids Room at the YWCA is a room for kids who are subject to violence go, and they look for counseling. They look for really just a safe place, a refuge, if you will, some place to go to. And what we're trying to do is renovate this room and make it a warm, fun, safe environment for them to go to, because Stacy understands, and the Y understands, and the community understands how important it is to be a strong support base for our kids, right? In fact, in this next story, it shows when you have that strong support there, when the parents, when the groups, when the community comes together to be a strong support for the kids, how great those kids can be when they in turn grow up. Check this out.
I got started in bullfighting because rodeo and bull riding in general, I guess, has just been a part of my life since day one. I think just with today's bullfighters, we've tried to just separate ourselves a bit from the stereotypical rodeo clown. It's a whole different job. Their job is to entertain the crowd and tell jokes and do the funny stuff, and there's really nothing funny about a bullfighter's job. So we've tried to present ourselves as more as athletes and just tried to separate ourselves a little bit from that.
We're rodeo bullfighters, and what we do is we protect the cowboys. When a rider's thrown off, we distract the bull so he can get away safely and get to the fence. We also try to make a bull buck better. By that we mean a rider wants a bull that spins right in front of the chute. He doesn't want one that just jumps and kicks down the arena, because of course he's not going to make the points. So at a time, bulls have certain cues, and you can get them turning back either left and right, and that's what helps the rider make the points, and also the contractor wants his bull to buck as best as he can.
I do work a lot of events. Last year was my first year working the Calgary Stampede, and I did a lot of PBR events in the US, and got a chance to work the PBR World Finals last year. As far as equipment goes, we don't try not to wear too much, but you definitely need some padding. You need to be very agile to do a job that we do, and we wear a flak jacket vest that's similar to what the riders wear. It's just a little less bulky. As far as other padding goes, it's just kind of personal preference, but for myself, I just wear a padded short. I like to wear knee braces just for some preventative methods. Without your knees, couldn't do the jobs. And then just a football style cleat, because you don't want to be slipping around when you got a 2,000-pound bull chasing you. I'm only 16 years old, and I've been around the world. I grew up around it, the bulls, and my dad was the bullfighter, and then my brother Bo, he rode bulls for a long time, and Jesse fights bulls, so I was around bulls my whole life, and I just decided to do the riding part instead of the fighting part, maybe change up the family a bit. Everybody else fights bulls, so I decided to ride them. Well, bull riding it's really takes a toll on the body. It's really physical and really mental too. You gotta know that you're gonna be able to ride the bull. If you think that he's gonna buck you off, you're probably not gonna ride him. So you have to know beforehand that you can ride the bull and be in top physical shape to be able to ride. And it's definitely not easy. It's not something you can just get off the couch and decide to go ride a bull. It takes a lot of training and a lot of ability and to do the sport. So, well, we have the protective vests, which are mandatory in the riding event. You have to wear the vests, and then it's a personal choice whether to wear a helmet or not. Since I'm young, I'm only 16, I have to wear a helmet until I'm 18. But even after I'm 18, I'll still wear the helmet.
You know, it is dangerous and things can't happen, but it's a special breed of people, but it's something that once it gets in your blood, you can't get it out. And the biggest thing, I guess, is to learn from the right people and go to professionals and don't learn from your buddy who thinks he knows something, you know, that's not going to work. That's where you're going to get hurt. Go to professionals and listen, learn, and learn from everybody. I rode junior steers when I was about 9 years old, and then graduated from the junior event into the open bull riding. And then from there I started fighting bulls and fought bulls for, like I said, for 25 years. I run the Prince Albert Invitational Pro Bull Riding. It's a PBR event. It's sanctioned through the PBR, and these points here count for the contestants for the World Finals. So this event is one of the ones that they're highlighted in Canada. So we have to make you know, things that are, you know, very entertaining for the people. And each year we have a different pyro show, a different sound, and the whole deal. So it's a challenge to change it up every year and give them something a little different and give them their money's worth.
It's something that I've dreamed of since I was a little kid, and something that I'm going to do and as long as I can.
Probably a bullfighter's pet peeve would be to be called a clown. We're bullfighters.
You see what your bullfighter did. I want you to bring that back. Watch your voice. It's sitting good. Looking good. Second roll of the night.
You know, the funny thing about being in the radio business, Heather, like a lot of people, public speaking is one of the biggest fears they've got, right? And yet, it's funny, and maybe just because we're in the business, but it's a pretty easy thing for us. It's pretty, I mean, and I've been in the entertainment industry for a long time, so it comes as second nature, really.
Really?
What?
Remember that time that you called my pants slacks? That was kind of old. How about he likes the phrase higgledy piggledy? What are you doing?
Nothing. I was thinking of a friend of mine, Paul Noel. He used to be in the military, but he moved into the entertainment industry, and he specializes in special effects. You know, like laser beams and blowing up robots and stuff. Nothing.
I actually fell into it totally by accident. I went to Vancouver to study power engineering, and in amongst that training I answered an obscure ad for a maintenance man, and it turned out to be at one of the largest special effects companies in Canada, basically maintaining their equipment and learning what to do and what not to do and how to do things, and got invited out on sets and shoots of commercials and subsequently worked on larger projects. This is a weapon from one of the X-Men. We were asked to do the pyrotechnics for, so they would have been handheld by one of the stunt performers, and on cue with the wireless we would fire these, and they would detonate, send out the dust and sparks, and then the performer would drop these weapons. So these are just little things that we keep around for souvenirs and keepsakes. And some of the other things that we do is we're always trying to bring the action a little bit closer to the actors. We use a product called rubber glass, which is a synthetic rubber, and when we crush it up, it'll look similar to tempered glass. And these items here, we can now put these on the ground in around actors and actresses, although it disappears on the concrete here. It reads as real glass. It's totally safe, totally inert, and we'll augment that with a little bit of blood, and it looks pretty cool. So we're going to do a demonstration of 80 series detonator, which is what we use in blood hits. It's over here on the yellow item against the wall. We've done our safety briefing. As I detonate it, you'll see the yellow circular item disintegrate. There'll be a loud crack, a small spark, and a little bit of smoke. So we'll call it on 3, 2, 1. Most of the effects, no matter how big or small, always start with conversations with the director, the DOP, producers. Some of them, the more in-depth and the more complicated ones, will storyboard, so everybody will understand exactly what people are trying to see. We'll at the same time be understanding where camera positions are, where we can hide a rig, where we can't hide a rig. If there's visual effects involved, we'll ask them and communicate with them and liaison together to find out where we can be, where we can't be. And then we start designing things. Just about to do a sample of cork hits, which is something we would use during a gun battle, which sells in the background, ricochets, missed shots. It makes a loud noise, a little bit of dust, and puts debris into the air. Okay, everybody's ready, effects are hot. And 3, 2, 1. Safety is paramount. I mean, everybody wants to go home, right? It is a workplace, so we need to work within all of the confines of the safety parameters set in by the government, both federally and provincially, with regards to explosives, with regards to overhead work, and then from there is whether we can shoot it and get it on film, and then how close can we get. So we're going to load, we have a bullet hit, practical bullet hit, that we're going to demonstrate on one of our volunteers. We've seen what the squib will do. Everybody's comfortable with the noise. And we would be ready. Okay, this is a capacitor discharge. So what it's showing now is we have a squib on, and it's testing the continuity of the bridge wire. So it's showing us that it's good. So before we go hot, I'll squeeze one of these buttons. The capacitor will charge. I'll get a second light. Once I have my second light, effects are hot. And when I push the second button, the explosive will go off. Okay? Okay, effects are hot. And 3, 2, 1, action. Every day is an adventure. I'm always asked to push the envelope, be it from doing an effect and keeping it cost effective, or doing an effect and making it absolutely spectacular and over the top. So I really like all of those challenges, because there's a mix up between building and designing as well as the management side of the house, and it's a good mix, and it's always new people and new faces, and it makes it interesting for me.
Oh, how cool is that, blowing stuff up? I've always wanted to do that, but I'm not complaining. Admittedly, I've got a very cool job, working in radio. And again, it gives us a chance to use our little soapbox, our podium, to help out great causes whenever we can. And in our case, Big Dog 92.7's Kids Fun Campaign Kickoff. And the first project we picked is helping the kids at the YWCA's Kids Room. And for those of us who helped us kick off this campaign, and it's year long, it never stops, but to those of you who've already pitched in, thank you so much. We thank you, and the YWCA thanks you as well. Well, that's it. Another edition of Max Magazine, all wrapped up with all these real cool jobs all around our beautiful province. And remember, kids, what may seem annoying, all right, to adults right now might be very good for you later on in life. I think the key is just to do what you love, and later on, that might mean a very cool job for you too down the road. We'll have more great Saskatchewan stories for you coming up. Just stay tuned to another edition of Max Magazine.
Want to get actively involved? You can submit your own videos to Local On Demand. If it's relevant to your community, we'd like to air it. You just need to find our guidelines for content, quality, and production on the SaskTel website under the Personal category in the Entertainment Services section. Or just send us your program idea. If it's chosen, we'll shoot it and air it on Local On Demand. Email us at max.localondemand@sasktel.sk.ca or send a letter to the address on the screen. We'd love to hear from you.